Yeah, there's a tower on the inside, and I was actually doing a different start shot for a sponsor at the the slightly downhill left-hander where they lock up near where the drag strip is. So I was on a wide angle.
Actually, turn 910 there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was on a wide angle lens, ready to do my start as they all came round there, and then I think another photographer, James Moy, shouted "red flag." And I thought, oh, what's happened, And then I looked to my left, and obviously it was red flag. It was like an inferno, And I've never seen anything like it. I mean, you might have done, but certainly in my career in Formula One, I've never seen a car go up like that. And I was shooting it, kind of not knowing quite what I was shooting. You obviously shoot it because it's happening, but you're aware that there's obviously a car in the middle of that inferno and possibly a person, and I was very relieved, when you saw Romain walking away from it, and I still don't quite know how he did it, but I'm very pleased that he did. Just before the Anderson Bridge,
right.
They've taken that curve away now because drivers were doing that, and because drivers were doing that, photographers tended to kind of hang in the branches like vultures, waiting for it, and occasionally someone got it wrong and did that. So it's just you don't often see Formula One cars flying at that angle, 2010, I think, on the energy station, doing his backflip into the swimming pool. I mean, it's quite a nice, happy picture, but I kind of wanted to get a picture of Mark Webber in, just because he's such a top bloke and such a nice guy. And you get good pictures on that around that swimming pool when Red Bull win. With them all jumping in. He's the most normal Grand Prix driver that I've ever known, to be honest. He's such a good bloke. In about 2012, my nephew Harry broke his leg in 2 or 3 places at a skatey park, on a scooter, and it was the day before I went to Australia. So while I was away, I thought, well, Webber did that. So I got a picture printed up, and I found him. It was actually in Malaysia at the next race, and I asked him whether he wouldn't mind signing it to Harry, and maybe put a little message to him, keep your chin up or whatever. And it was about an hour before qualifying, and he said I'll do better than that, mate. He said I'll get him on the blower after quali, and I thought, blimey, and sure enough, after qualifying, I thought he'd forgotten all about it, and he phoned up my sister-in-law Sharon, and she was with the RAC man, broken down, and suddenly Mark Webber's on the phone, and she sort of got all flustered and sort of said, oh, I don't suppose you ever have this problem, which he did occasionally. And he chatted to her for like 10 minutes, and then she handed the phone to Harry and said, oh, Harry, it's Mark Webber on the phone for you. And obviously, he couldn't believe it, and he was on the phone for a good 10 minutes chatting to him and trying to give him some advice. He told him if he had an oxygen chamber that would be useful, but Harry hasn't got an oxygen chamber. But it was just a really nice thing to do, and I can't think of anybody else that would do that, to be honest. The time that he took, was brilliant. First corner at Hockenheim was quite productive from a spectacular picture point of view, but it's just basically the angle that he's at, a bit like the Carter Kane picture. It's an unusual picture in that the car's doing something very much that it shouldn't be doing, but luckily he was unhurt. They've all got good autofocus now, and something like a start, you've got a button on the back of the camera that you hit when something happens, and you keep the centre of the frame on the bit you want sharp, and hopefully you get it pinned sharp, and you get a whole sequence of it, and that's probably the most spectacular shot, where the angle is he literally looks like a rocket going to the moon.
Have you had any situations where you've had to think, I need to move and think about self-preservation before I press the shutter here? Not
really. I mean, it's a bit like when the elephant charges. When a car comes off towards you, the plan is to hold your ground and to get the shot, but it's not always completely easy when it gets close. But the closest thing actually was in Hungary a couple of 2 or 3 years ago. We were up at the top chicane. I was with Lorenzo Belanca, another photographer who obviously you know, and the cars came through the chicane, and Kimi's camera flew off in the Ferrari as he came through. The camera came off his car, and the first me and Lorenzo knew about it was when it hit the Armco right in front of us. And I've thought about that quite a lot since, that it's a big chunk of metal doing whatever speed it's doing, and if it was literally right in front of where we were standing, and if it had come over the Armco, I don't know quite what would have happened, but
You have 1,000 eyes that never fall asleep.